From painting to photography, from beadwork to woodworking, KQAL-FM on the campus of Winona State University presents Art Beat. Art Beat highlights the work and accomplishments of local artists from in and around Winona. Support for Art Beat is made possible by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund.
Today on Art Beat, we're diving into the La Crosse art scene with the executive director of the Rivoli Arts District, Teddy Eck. The recently opened Rivoli Arts District has been creating programs and opening spaces for artists to create. They're doing all of this right in the heart of Downtown La Crosse, Wisconsin, in the Historic Rivoli Theater. I'm Annika Bakkum-Ekern, saying sit back, relax, and enjoy as we talk all things Rivoli today on Art Beat. 89.5 KQAL, we are here with Teddy Eck, the executive director of the Rivoli Arts District and the La Crosse Film Academy. Teddy, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Of course. Thank you so much for taking some time out of this wonderful Tuesday to talk to me. Can you tell me a bit about the Rivoli Arts District, what it is and what its mission is?
Sure. Yeah. And so the Rivoli Arts District is a nonprofit organization that's located in downtown La Crosse, Wisconsin. And we are a 501c3 organization that is currently leasing the entire Rivoli building in downtown La Crosse, which is attached to the Rivoli Theater, which is a lovely historic building that was built in the 1920s in downtown La Crosse. And so we rent all 3 floors of the Rivoli building, and then we have a little retail shop down in the bottom that we're currently working on fleshing out. And then those 3 floors, we have 2 floors that are artist studios, and so the 2 floors kind of have different sizes of artist studios that they work in. And so everything from different artists that do a lot of painting with oils and watercolor. We have some videographers. We have people that do knitting, a guy who works with steel, all different types. A person who does tattoos and other like fashion designer people in the building as well. And so the 3rd and the 4th floor are those, different artist studios, about 22 different studios total, different sizes and rates. And then on the 2nd floor is kind of the home of the La Crosse Film Academy. And then the Rivoli Theater has one of their kind of their 3rd screening room on the 2nd floor as well. And then we have some other offices and stuff on the 2nd floor.
Oh my gosh, that's fantastic. Can you tell me a little bit more about some of these specific businesses? Because you are the executive director of not only the Rivoli Arts District, but also the La Crosse Film Academy, correct?
Yeah, and it's a little confusing, but so the nonprofit itself started as the La Crosse Film Academy. And then and this was in January of 24, I founded the academy. And that was really, I was relatively new to La Crosse and just saw that there was kind of an absence of film training and film production. And, I joined the steering committee at the state level to kind of help get Wisconsin to have a film commission and a statewide film office again and stuff. And luckily we passed that. We got that through, and we're in the governor's budget for 2026, which is awesome. And so that was in 24. And then in August of 24, at the same time, we were talking to the Rivoli Theater owners who owned the Rivoli building. And the Rivoli building also has the beautiful, vaudevillian kind of Rivoli Theater in it. And they were renovating the building side of it to make it kind of for artist studios. And so we were chatting about, what if us as the nonprofit just ran the entire building? What if we leased the entire building from the Rivoli owners? And so with that, we would need to expand our mission of the organization. Because at that time, we were just focused on film production and digital storytelling. So then in August of 24, we expanded to be the La Crosse Film Academy and Rivoli Arts District, or just, doing business as the RAD. And so we're known as the RAD, and that includes the Film Academy, but also all of the artist studios, as well as our other programming, which is events and fine arts and applied arts classes and workshops. And we had a Halloween event that we called the Uncanny Exhibit, which we took over the whole 2nd floor of the RAD of the building, and it was all different immersive experiences kind of themed around Halloween, and each of the different rooms was a different experience, and that was designed by different artists in the building and the community and that kind of stuff. So we're one organization as the RAD, but the Film Academy kind of led the charge, and so that's why we're still holding on to that name as kind of our video production side of the organization as a whole.
Wow, that's incredible. It sounds like you guys have your hands in a lot of different forms of art, which is great to see as that gives back to the community, almost certainly so. Being the executive director of something of this scale, what does your position entail, and what does a day look like for you?
Yeah, good question. I mean, let's see. I can review my schedule today. Today, this morning I had an interview with one of our local TV stations, WXOW. And so we're doing a partnership, for instance, on the film side with the La Crosse Symphony Orchestra. And so, like, they filmed all of their shows back starting in 2019, and now they're putting together what they call the LSO Film Collective. And so for that, we partner with them and their maestro, Alexander. We're filming him in, like, talking head style, basically giving context to the pieces that they performed and that they videotaped. So we're wrapping all that up into essentially a movie that then gets shown at the Rivoli Theater a couple weeks before the LSO's new concert series that then performs at Capella or Viterbo, wherever their thing is. And so it's us, we're partnering with them as far as the RAD and the Academy. So I had an interview for that this morning, and then, like, I'm working with our two other staff members that are RAD staff members that do a lot of, events and video production and editing, and so we were setting up our production studio space because this week we have the La Crosse Historical Society coming in to do their historical trolleys, and so we decked out our production studio to be this winter wonderland so we can do these videos and stuff for them too. And then this week we have First Friday because we're part of the First Friday Art Walk in Downtown La Crosse. And so, every First Friday we ask that the artists have their studios open so that they can, sell and have the kind of community come in and, like, look at their art and buy art. Because that's really, I know I kind of glossed over the question you asked about our mission statement, but our mission is really to kind of support, educate, and help all the artists flourish in the La Crosse and Coulee region. And so many ways there's many ways we can do that. And so for one, we have kind of inexpensive rent for artists in the building. And so, like, just to give you the nuts and bolts of it, through the artist studios on the third and the fourth floor, we price them about $14 a square foot for the artist to rent. And so that means, like, there's mini studios, which are like about the size of my office. That's $180 a month. And then to, like, some of the other studios are like doubles. So they're like $373 or $280, and then there's, like, larger ones that are like $700 a month. And so all of that is priced well below what the average downtown La Crosse price is, which is going for around $21 a square foot. And so the hope was to be able to really cut the price as low as we can and still keep our lights on and still pay our rent to the building owners. So that way we can get artists in here and kind of help them, have a wonderful space to work and have, internet, but also build community. Like La Crosse is, and this whole area, kind of the upper Midwest, is rich with artists. A lot of people doing a lot of wonderful, great work. But in my opinion, they're kind of all, like, kind of in their own little silos and kind of divided. And so one of the goals of the RAD was just to bring people together. Of, like, how can we get people together, get them in the building, and so that all of this work can happen together. And people can still work and do their thing, but we can come together on that, like, the Uncanny exhibit, the Halloween thing I mentioned, or we can come together on First Friday. And essentially it's that, rising tides lift all boats kind of thing. And so that's kind of our mission and our goal. And so, like, this Friday we have First Friday, the art walk thing. And so we'll open the building to the public from 5 to 8. And so we're opening our holiday backdrop for that as well. And one of our photographers in the building is going to take free holiday photos of families that come in. And so we're trying to create events and activities that bring family and the community into the building so that then they can go in the artist space and, basically spend money and support the artist and buy their work, as well as come and just enjoy the art. And then we have other rooms in the building, too, that I didn't mention, like we have an art workshop space, and we have a RAD gallery that has an opening this Friday, and then other kind of community spaces that we hold classes and different workshops and stuff that we're trying to bring the community in to make art accessible to all ages and just all people. And so, so like this, my average schedule, and then after, I get done with this interview, and then I have a meeting with an accountant to kind of talk through our finances, and then we're looking to expand to do some music programming, some music kind of education classes, essentially adult group classes in the spring, in the 2026. So we got a nice little meeting with one of the organizations in town to get that rolling. And so it's a kind of a mix. It's a mix between programming. I'm by trade, like my background is as a nonprofit administrator, but I started out as an actor. I did a lot of TV and film and stuff in New York and in California. And so, like, video production and, like, TV and film stuff is kind of my specialty. And so, like, my average week is split between a lot of admin stuff and fundraising and like, going out and doing programming and meet and greets and just kind of community engagement stuff, as well as we just got some wonderful new equipment because we have a great partnership with Blackmagic cameras. And so we got some new equipment in that we're testing out and kind of do stuff. And so it's it's a good mix. It's a good mix for me where I get to do some of that book stuff and those spreadsheets and like the data entry, but then also I get to play with some fun toys and get to do some editing and get to do some film production stuff. And, I also teach at, we have a partnership with Soda 2, one of our middle schools in town. That's a creative arts middle school. And so me and the other rad employees, we teach there every Thursday, teaching film production stuff. And so, it's nice. For me, it's a good balance because I get my hands dirty, but I also get to work on programming and some more elevated stuff as well, which is what I like. So,
wow. Oh my gosh, what an incredible and important mission, first off. But you are for sure a jack of all trades, it sounds like, which is, sounds absolutely incredible. And I'm going to ask you a little bit more about, you elaborated on this a bit earlier, but how did you find yourself in this position?
Yeah, well, it was really kind of, kismet of we moved to this area. So like my wife and family, we moved from California to here during 2021, just because, it was during the pandemic still, and we were in California, kind of mid-coast. I was the chair of a theater and film department in Monterey, California. And, everything was hit by the pandemic and things were shut down educationally. And so we were looking for a place in the country that was throughout the United States that was just more climate friendly, that we could kind of get escape from the California wildfire fires and the floods and stuff. And so we were looking to the upper Midwest, and there was a position at Viterbo University to teach musical theater and performance classes and directing. So we did that and then moved here. And then I did that for 4 years. And it was wonderful. Like Viterbo's great, and La Crosse is good, but like I wanted to do more. I wanted to use my film background and everything, and then really with the students that I found at Viterbo, like they needed more film training because they would go into the world and have a lot of theater training, which is great, but not necessarily the film side. And so that's made me start to kind of put my feelers out there. Really, I put my feelers in La Crosse to be like, okay, like, can I teach some film? Like, hey, is there some film organization I can be a part of? And let me just teach an on-camera acting class or like a film history class or any of that. Like, hey, I'm happy to teach it. I used to, did it for many years in California at the college level, but I'm happy to do it, whatever. But then I found that, like, really there wasn't much here. There wasn't much at the high schools. The high schools don't really have AV clubs like I did growing up. And the colleges here are great, but they don't really have much in the way of dramatic storytelling. Our two-year college here, Western Tech, has a great broadcasting media department, but they don't really focus on, any dramatic storytelling or, narrative kind of style filmmaking. And so that led to the start of the Film Academy. And that's when I was like, okay, well, let me just do it myself. I'll just start a 501c3 and we'll see what happens. And so that was in January of 24. And our first thing that we did was the 48-hour film festival, and that was modeled off of what my wife and I were part of in New York for a while, and then out in California too. And so we launched that in April of 24, and we were like, hey, we'll just see. Hopefully we'll get some groups that sign up, and maybe it'll be fun. But we ended up having 13 different teams sign up, and we packed the Rivoli Theater, which seats about 300, and it was just like, wow, okay, this community needs this. They really support this. There's a want and kind of a hunger here. And so then that allowed us to grow and offer more classes and do stuff, and then partner with our kind of production side of things and get involved in the school districts. And so it kind of grew from there. And then really, getting into the community, it was just kind of apparent that, again, there's a lot of great artists in here and a lot of great organizations. Like the Pump House is fantastic, what they do. We have another organization in the north side of town with that, the Art House, and there's a lot of wonderful organizations, but there's not really that connective tissue that brings them together. And so that's what, in partnership with the Rivoli Theater owners, with the kind of expansion of the Academy to become the Rivoli Arts District, it was like, okay, maybe we can help with this building, and with kind of leasing out this entire building, we can help be that glue, that kind of connective membrane tissue that helps, connect these artists and connects the art community and helps lift up this community. And so that's kind of how I evolved into it. So it was technically I started the organization and my position, but then it grew to be, more than me and more than just my ideas. And, we have a board, we have a building full of artists that are super creative and have great ideas. And so it's just this wonderful, a great collection of different ideas and thoughts. And, we can't do everything that we want to all the time, but it's nice. It's nice to kind of have these just multiple heads kind of feeding into this one common goal and mission, like you talked about. So.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that. That's incredible that you kind of paved your own way into something that is so incredible and needed in the La Crosse area for all these artists. Yeah. What kind of programming are you guys doing currently in the community, or some things that are upcoming that you want people to know about?
Yeah, good question. We have just a wide variety of things. Like we have our Rivoli Arts Gallery, and so like that's basically every other month we have a nice gallery opening. And so this Friday we're partnering with UWL student artists to have a gallery in here, and so that opens this Friday and it will run until the end of January. So we have that, and we have every 2 weeks we offer figure drawing classes in our gallery space as well. With a live model for that is 18 plus, because it is without any clothes on for the model. But then we have a variety of other like applied art classes. Like one of the artists in the building, for instance, his name is Dusty Carls. He works at the library. But like part of our mission too is to help the artists, right, to sell their art. But not all of them have that as their goal. There's different types of artists, and we're trying to meet them where they are. So like Dusty, for instance, one of his passions is D&D, Dungeons and Dragons. And so he's looking to start his own D&D business called D&D with Dusty, because he's fantastic. He does a lot of great stuff with the youth at the library, but there's a lot he can't do. And so like we're offering some D&D with Dusty intro classes and like campaigns. In the spring, we're going to be expanding that to more like a training of the Dungeon Master, and with more in adult campaigns and stuff too. And so we have that. We're also offering like stop motion classes. We have that. On the film side of things, we offer like in-service classes. And so when students don't have school during the week, but parents still have to work, we have in-service. And so it centers around, like we did 4 of them this fall, and it centers around a movie. And so like Wreck-It Ralph, we would show that movie, but then also we would do a lot of arts and crafts around that. And so it was about video games, and it was about stuff. So it was about just combining the multimedia, different arts. And so we did that. Like I'm teaching an acting for camera course right now. We just had that last night. Our second one of that, we did film producing workshop over the weekend. We had a post-production class, working with DaVinci Resolve and kind of going through color grading and stuff. We have a film club that meets once a month that we do. And then we have different events like the Halloween events, and then partnerships with Soda 2 and Historical Society and stuff. And so it's kind of a mix between film and fine arts and applied arts, and we're looking to do more in the spring. We have another artist in the building, Eric Boltz, who is looking to do this kind of yoga art fusion, because he's a trained vinyasa yoga instructor, but also a great visual artist. And so we did something when we opened the building in September 5th. He offered a free workshop where he did 45 minutes of a vinyasa flow and then 45 minutes of just visual arts. And so we're looking to do that again, so that way you can kind of center and relax, and then kind of dive into, creating arts and being visually, expressive as well. And so it's that kind of like, marriage between just arts and just kind of, different things that we're exploring. And again, what can we partner with the community? What can we partner with the artists in the building? And at the same time, I want to be very mindful of, like I said, like Pump House is awesome. They got great stuff going on. And like All Glazed Up is another great business right next door. So we're trying to make sure that we find our lane, but we're not looking to compete with these other organizations. We want to help lift them up and really create a thriving community. Because like the last thing I want to do is put anybody else out of business. I want to make sure that we are doing things that are different and that are not competing, but rather just kind of serving a market that may not be tapped, or individuals that may not have an outlet at this time. But that's what we're exploring. But again, we're new and young, and so we're just trying to find our path and see what we can do.
Wow, that makes me so excited as someone who finds myself in similar communities and fields. It's great to hear that this area has opportunities for people such as, and it's absolutely true, all tides do rise all boats. How long have you guys been in existence?
Yeah. Well, because like the Academy side started in January of 24, and then really like the building was being renovated at that time, and the artists, and so then we expanded at the end of 24 to become the Rivoli Arts District, and then in February of 25, that's when like the upper floors, the third and the fourth floor, we finished those because we prioritized the renovation of those so we can get artists in here right away. And so they moved in February 1st, even though everything wasn't quite finished. Like we still were laying carpet and that stuff. But they've been in February 1st, and then that time then we were finishing the second floor and the production studio and finishing all this other stuff and trying to get our structure in place. And then we opened the building to the public. September 5th was our grand opening. That's when we had the mayor here, and we had, some of our local representatives, and we did we didn't do a ribbon cutting, we did a clapper, like a film clapper thing. We did that to kind of signify the opening of the building, and had a big, kind of grand opening party and stuff. And so, so we really, it's been, what's that now? A little over 2 months, so probably 10 weeks, something like that, that we've been open to the public, but there's been life in the building really since February. And so, like I said, we're new and we're rocking and rolling, but still trying to figure things out and kind of figure our structure and kind of our way forward. So
that's incredible. Yeah. I mean, it sounds like you guys already have such a great head on your shoulders as an organization being this new. You guys have so many ideas and just an enthusiasm that is truly infectious. So you touched on this briefly, but how did the partnership with the Rivoli begin? Because the La Crosse Film Academy existed prior, but you ended up partnering later with the Rivoli. How did that come about?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good question. And so really it came about for my wife because, we moved down and I was at Viterbo, and, like as a professor, you're just kind of locked into your college and you don't really explore much outside. So I didn't know much about La Crosse, for the first 3 years we lived here. But like my wife took my kids to, I think it was a Ninja Turtle movie that they came out. They had like a Ninja Turtle PJ party, that they were doing. And so my wife took the kids there and then came home and told me about it because I think I had to work. And she was like, oh, it was great. It was just wonderful kind of older theater downtown. And I got to meet the owners and, got to meet Clara Gillette and then her husband Neil. And so I was like, oh, that sounds really cool. And so then, like, we came a couple weeks later, and I got to meet them, and, like, we were just chatting about community and, like, what they have planned with the Rivoli Theater itself was just really exciting because they want to, bring back the kind of quality family entertainment of going to the movie theaters. And La Crosse really only has 2 movie theaters, which is Marcus, which is still relatively local, but, local to this area of the country, but kind of a bigger chain, and then the Rivoli Theater, and that's it. And so the Rivoli Theater is really doing a great job of kind of tapping into kind of that like underground, that kind of cult movie following and, the students and like the $5 Tuesdays and stuff, or the $2 Tuesdays, I think is what it is. Mm-hmm. And so like they're doing great with their programming. And so we just started to chat, and like I would kind of lay out a little bit of my background in the film and kind of TV world and the theater world. And I remember Claire saying something, they're like, yeah, I've always had this folder on my desktop on the computer that just says nonprofit. I was like, hey, wouldn't it be great if, because the Rivoli Theater is a for-profit company, and so wouldn't it be great to kind of do more community-minded stuff? So then really when I founded the La Crosse Film Academy, we were looking at different spaces. I was like, there's space in the mall I can do, space in here, and just to have some production studio to teach out of or to show stuff. But then we met with the Gillettes kind of in late of 23, and then really we're talking about it, and she's like, well, we're renovating the building, we're doing stuff, you can use our screening room while you get up and running. And so that then kind of started like that partnership. It was like, yeah, okay, it makes sense to have a film academy be associated with a theater, like an actual movie theater and a movie house. And so then, they started, they were renovating the building at that time, and we're figuring out what to do and what the structure of the building is. And then that's when we're like, okay, well, yeah, let's expand to become the Rivoli Arts District, and we'll manage the building. We'll lease out all the rooms and then sublease them to the artists, and kind of hope to create this, kind of thriving culture and kind of do it on this new kind of financial model. And so that's kind of how it grew and kind of navigated to be what it currently is.
Wow, that is wonderful. For being someone relatively new to the community, you have really gone in hands first and done so much. In your recent years being here, what is your favorite thing about La Crosse as a community?
Oh, man, it's a good question. And I'm just like, the little praise that you just gave, like, I have to give it back. Like, it's really the community. Like, it really is. Like, I'm one person and the people, but like this community and like, Winona and stuff too, like, there's wonderful people here. There's wonderful people and wonderful community, and like this community of La Crosse has been so kind, and really like, we come to the table with ideas and people are like, yeah, they yes and it, and they just constantly build onto it. And so the community, I think, has really helped to build this and just been really receptive to all the energy for it. And so for me, like landing here, because just to be perfectly honest, when my wife was like, "Hey, I'm applying for a job in Wisconsin," and she was like, "What? Oh man!" But then we traveled here and like showed her around, and she's from upstate New York, originally near Vermont, and she was like, "Oh man, it looks just like Vermont with the driftless, kind of the bluffs and stuff, and the connection to the river and everything." And I was like, "I know." So that was really a good selling point. And like La Crosse is, I really enjoy it because its connection to nature is just beautiful. I'm looking out at the bluff right now where I talked to you about Granddad's Bluff, and then I just got the river on the other side of the building. Its connection to nature is great. I love the proximity to the cities, close to the Twin Cities and then Madison and Chicago, so you can get that bigger taste if you want to. But being in La Crosse, the housing is more affordable, the arts is thriving. You got a lot of people that are wanting this community to do well and to thrive, and so like that's very big because I've lived in a lot of places in the country, and you can tell when the city, administrators are kind of, they prioritize different things. And I feel that La Crosse is really prioritizing, in my opinion, some of the right things, and just being very community forward and minded, especially with the arts and with some of the kind of drive to get the younger people to stay here and give them fun things to do that's different than just going to the bars and stuff. So yeah, like the community's great and like the people's good, and just like on a selfish level on the filming side, I was like, man, we got so much. Like in 10 minutes, you can be in farmland if you really wanted to, or you can have a wonderful, quaint little downtown, or you can be in like some, high-tech kind of, semi-office building. And so it's just kind of a nice little balance. It kind of has all of these things, and it checks a lot of boxes. And yeah, and the people are nice, which goes a long way.
Absolutely. Similarly, building off of that, what do you think is the importance of having organizations such as RAD and the La Crosse Film Academy in this area?
Yeah, good question. I don't know. I think it's just really important. I'm a big fan of nonprofits. I like the nonprofit structure because I like the checks and balances that it does, and that nonprofits are really for and by and of the community. And so, like, I really like that, for the RAD and the Film Academy, of course, I'm biased, but I like that there is this connective organization, or there is this kind of just this group of people, this organization that's looking out for, all right, how can we improve all of the arts in the area? And so we're really looking at not just the established artists that are here, which we serve in the building, which is nice, but how can we serve the next generation of artists? And so, like, with what we're doing at Soda 2 and those students, that, like, what can we do to help them? And so there's just been some wonderful examples of this throughout just our last 2 years of when we have some of our classes, like, for instance, our summer classes, our summer school classes and summer camps, seeing these different students from these different schools. And I don't know, just to put it bluntly, like this area, like a lot of areas in the country, have a focus on sports and a focus on hunting and a focus on other outdoor activities, which is fantastic. I love all of those things too. However, if that's not your cup of tea as a younger individual, it's often easy to be lost and often to be kind of overlooked in your schools. And so what's been really nice for me to see on my side is when we program these kind of events, these in-services where any school kid can come to them, or these summer camps where anybody can come to them, to really see these like individuals who may not have the biggest social circle at their school or in their like kind of the area, find people like themselves and really latch on to them and become besties, by the end of the week or by the end of the day, even for the in-service. And it's been great to just like really see that and see that bonding, because even a community like La Crosse, it's not that big, but people are still in their little areas and their silos. And so to be able to break that down with programming, with community programming, with nonprofit programming, with this kind of engagement that we do and many other organizations do, I just think that's what community is, and that's what is the value of community. So whether it's your local library or your nonprofit or any of these organizations, to have those in a community, like, I think that's what makes them thrive. That's what makes a community home. So I'm just happy to be part of it and be able to add to that cultural fabric here in La Crosse.
Oh, that makes me so happy. As an artistic kid myself and someone who works with a lot of artistic kids, I would have loved to have that for myself or for the kids that I work with. So that is so important that you've added that to the community of La Crosse. And I have one final question for you. What is your hope with RAD in the future?
Yeah, Yeah, I don't know. I would say just continue to grow and be involved in the community as best we can. Like I said, we're kind of branching into the music world this spring, which will be exciting because we really want to be that kind of film or digital media and the fine and applied arts as well as music, because I think there's just a great like cross-sectional programming and just, involvement for people. And so we like to grow in that way, but really just continue to, I don't know, I got a whole lovely list of actual programmatic goals that I want to do. It's like, okay, we want to get more into moon tunes. We want to get more, outside in the summer. We want to get involved with Mount La Crosse. We want to do this. And so just more ways that we can connect with the community to really have them see the value. But like, for instance, I was just talking to the library the other day, and I was like, man, how can we record more of what you do? Mm-hmm. Like, the library does so much wonderful stuff, but they're busy doing the stuff. And so, like, they don't necessarily have the bandwidth to record it or videotape it and then share it online or stuff. It's like, how can we help record some of your master classes and then put them online so that then people who can't attend the library that day or something could still see them, Mm-hmm. And so it's that kind of community partnership I'd love to do more of and grow more. And it's just like, okay, how can we do it? Like, we were talking to one of the artists in the building, Juliet, who's originally from Columbia. And we were like, okay, Juliet, like, she used to teach in Columbia too. And we are like, okay, are you willing to teach here in the school district? She was like, yeah, I'd love to do master classes. I was like, great. Mm-hmm. So, like, can we do that and record it and do, like, bilingual stuff? So that way then we can post it online for those who maybe aren't able to attend the school that she taught at, but then can still learn some of the lessons and still be able to have that connection to the arts and to her. And so it's that kind of connective tissue that I'd love to see continuing to develop and just be a part of here in La Crosse. So.
Oh my gosh, Teddy, that was absolutely incredible. I feel energized after talking to you. I'm so thrilled that these programs exist. Is there anything else that you'd like to say before heading off about the importance of this in the community?
No, I mean, just, here at the RAD and everywhere, if any listeners, just support your local artists. Like, go out and buy local this holiday season. Like, buy from the local shops, buy from the local artists, and because that's what matters. And that's, will help them thrive and help you thrive. And yeah, as much as we can support local, please do.
Wow. Thank you so much, Teddy. Thank you for taking the time to speak to me today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thanks again to Teddy Eck, Executive Director of the Rivoli Arts District, for joining us today on Art Beat. For more information from the team down at the Rivoli Arts District, go on and check them out on social media or at their website, therad.art. For more conversations on art, tune into Art Beat Tuesdays at 12:30, right here on 89.5 KQAL. For podcasts of Art Beat and other KQAL original programming, go to kqal.org. I'm Annika Bakkum-Ekern, and we've just heard from Teddy Eck, Executive Director from the Rivoli Arts District, here on Art Beat.
Art Beat is written and produced by KQAL-FM on the campus of Winona State University. Visit us on the web at kqal.org.